Are you finding that your own awakening has a dark side? Are you finding that you are just having these dark swirls of energy going around that just feels heavy, it feels burdened, it feels negative, and you are like, something is wrong with me because everybody else on the planet seems to be awakening, but I just seem to be getting darker? Well, that's what I'm going to be addressing in this video today, because actually I've been hearing from quite a few of you. Although most people who tend to be going through those kind of dark nights of the soul don't tend to tell anybody about it. But we're going to bring it out of the closet today and we're going to talk about it, because you're not the only one that is going through this situation. So my name is Nancy Rebecca. If you're not familiar with my channel, I am a registered nurse. I have been a healer, a psychic clairvoyant healer for almost 30 years now. I love to work with the human energy field to find out what can we do to help you to become more optimal and reach your highest potential just by simply moving a little bit of energy. Now, about 30 years ago, I had what I call my down on my knees moment. So I definitely was feeling the darkness. I felt like darkness was just all around me. I was filled with grief. I was filled with sadness. There were a lot of family members that were dying. I had kids that were teenagers. It's just like my relationship, my marriage was struggling. You know, it was just like this pile on after pile on after pile on of just a lot of stuff that felt like I was going to break under the pressure. So I do call it my down on my knees moment, where I literally went into my bedroom, I locked that door, I got down on my knees, I put my hands together, because in the movies I had seen that when people pray, they pray like this, because I had not had that kind of experience. And I did have Spirit answered my call. And when Spirit answered my call, Spirit also said, you have no idea the amount of love that you hold inside of you, and that love is available and is true for all of us. But sometimes life just gets heavy, right? So let's just talk about that. So one of the books that was really helpful for me is by the author Debbie Ford. She wrote a book called The Dark Side of the Light Chasers. It's an excellent book. I highly recommend it to you all. She's no longer living, but she went through her dark night of the soul through a pretty severe addiction to drugs. And in her story, she went through several rehabs trying to really find a way through her struggles on the other side of it. And all she could sense was darkness and darkness and darkness. And she was trying to find the light within her. And she really kind of hated herself for having these dark thoughts and these dark beliefs about herself, until she was able to find a way to make peace with her darkness and peace with her light, and she was able to recover and heal. And in turn, she wrote an incredible book that has a lot of people in the world have found comfort with, and inspiration. And so then I was listening to Eckhart Tolle. So if you're not familiar with Eckhart Tolle, he wrote The Power of Now, which is about being in the power of the present moment. And I think he wrote that book about 25 years ago, but it is just as valid today as it was then. And he describes his own severe incapacitating depression and sadness, and he just could not shake it, and he couldn't get out of it. So he was kind of chasing the past experiences of his life. He was chasing where he wanted to be in the future. He was chasing everywhere but right where he was right here in this moment. And so I really feel like a lot of the mindfulness meditations are based on that, where they're like, you're be fully in the moment when you're brushing your teeth or you're bathing or you're organizing boxes in the garage, to help you become fully present in the moment. But Eckhart Tolle describes this dark night of the soul as a collapsed perception or perceived meaning in life. And he also describes it as a deep sense of meaninglessness, where you no longer can find meaning for your own life, your own sense of purpose, your own sense of, why are you here? So, as a nurse and as a psychic clairvoyant who can see the human energy field, there are about 5 categories I'm going to mention here that are the categories that I noticed the most. And I've done, over 20, 30,000 readings in my career. And so I've definitely found certain patterns in the energy field. And that's what I want to talk about today, because we are going through this rapid, expansive awakening. It's about taking the higher bar, right? It's about thinking positive thoughts. It's about being out in nature and taking good care of yourself and doing walks and sleeping well. And let's say that you do all those things, or maybe you just don't have the energy to do any of those things. It's like, how can I get out of this cloud, this black cloud that seems to be encircling me? So for the most part, the black cloud is not evil, and the black cloud is not somebody else's energy. For the most part, that black cloud is mental energy. So as the frequency of the earth is going up, it is kind of stirring up those darker clouds that are kind of stuck in the earth, or they're stuck in your home, or they're stuck in your own energy field. And yeah, it can cause you to not feel very good. So let me talk about the 5 main things that I see in the energy field, and maybe you might find a way that you can relate to this. And then I'm going to tell you what I recommend my clients do, and it really helps them instantly make a pretty big shift to get them started being back on your feet again. So, number 1, if you came into my office and you're saying, I'm just feeling really low. So you're coming in, you look gorgeous, you look handsome, you're bright, your clothes are put together, your bags are put together, your eyes seem bright. It looks like you've got everything going for you, but you're telling me, it's like, I am not doing well. I don't feel like I'm doing very well. I can't get my outer world to match my inner world. So when I look at an energy field of someone who has had that kind of complaint, I will see the light of their soul is completely encompassing their entire aura on the outside of their aura. And this bright beam of light can be 3, 4, 6 feet thick. So if you're walking through a crowd, you've got this golden light of your soul on the outside. Everybody looks at you and you look like you're doing fantastic. People are like, wow, you're really doing well. You look fantastic. You look bright. But then you go home and you close that door to the outer world and you just fall exhausted. And you're just like, why don't I feel as good as people say I look? So what's happening is that there's no room for your spirit on the inside of your body, that you have so much kind of old mental energy or old pain, old abuse, old PTSD, old life experiences that are kind of caught in the middle. So your spirit's trying to come down into your body and it can't, because you're just so full of this kind of shadowy, dark, cloudy material on the inside of you. And so it can only fit on the outside. So when you come to see me as a healer, we will definitely look at ways to help to clear some of that old pain. Usually it can be easily resolved by reminding yourself of your current age and what today's date is. Remember the power of now, coming into the present moment. And then I help you to make a connection with the earth, make that solid, grounded connection with Mother Earth, deep, 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 deep anchoring so that you can feel that comfort and support. And then I connect you with the cosmic energy, help connect you, reconnect you, plug into your own soul, your own spirit, and the ultimate, the divine, the great creator. And once those two connections are made, it's much easier to move that kind of darker energy, shadow energy out of the inside. And then it's almost like a switch gets flipped, and then your light moves to the inside of your body. And then people are like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I could feel this good again. So when you're asking yourself, is your awakening dark? Then it can have those dark sides that can be easily resolved by reconnecting with source above and reconnecting with the earth. Now, another thing I can witness if you come in, number 2, is that you've got this light on the inside of you, but you're just depressed. You've got this heaviness. Maybe you're in a toxic, abusive situation. Maybe you're just in a situation in your home life that's just heavy, dark. Maybe there's addiction or just violence and things like that. Maybe there's just a lot of hatred, criticism. That can weigh heavy on the outside of your field. And as it builds up more and more, it's almost like a pressure cooker. It compresses your light on the inside. And so then you don't feel connected to your own light. How can that get resolved? Well, you definitely want to connect with the earth, and you definitely want to connect with that higher source of your spirit, connect with your spirit light again and the creator. And then what happens when you can do that is that you start to maybe reconnect with the meaningful life, or a little bit of hope to help you get out of and resolve some of those situations that are just too toxic for anybody to be living in. On that note, so I have a nonprofit that's called Soul. It's the website is soulseeds.org. And in that, I offer free meditation to our communities in need. And so for a couple of years during COVID, before they closed down the community center, I was offering meditation to homeless youth. And the homeless youth, anywhere ages from 18 to 24, before they kind of aged out of the system, they hadn't had a very good childhood. They just hadn't had a good life to draw upon. And when I first started guiding them through the meditation, they were really surprised that they had a spirit. They were surprised they had a spirit, that they had a soul. And they were surprised because they felt like if they had a spirit like everybody else in the world, they wouldn't be homeless. If they had a spirit, they wouldn't be struggling with addiction. If they had a spirit, they would feel worthy of a full, vibrant life. And so once we did the meditation and I helped them to connect with their spirit and let their spirit come down into their head and kind of illuminate their pineal, they were shocked that they had a soul. And so all of these kind of, what I call, is your awakening dark, is that you may have to purposefully connect with the earth and connect with the cosmos to get in touch with your light again. So, and I have a free meditations on my website, intuitivemind.org, and I'll include a link here so that you can go there and just download the free meditations. All right, so number 3, what I notice in the human energy field, that sometimes you'll look pretty normal, you've got a pretty normal light, and then suddenly I'll come across a symbol, an image of a locked trunk. And this locked trunk has bolts locked all the way around it. And so I'll work with the client, we'll get some information. Usually the client's not surprised that there's a locked box. And then when we go to kind of energetically pop open those locks, we open it up, it's like this blinding light comes out of it. And that really surprises me because I don't expect to see that. Well, what it is if you've experienced a Maybe you were in a relationship where it's like, what's the words that they use? Like a energy vampire, or maybe you're in a relationship that's all consuming for them, but doesn't leave much room for you, that you can spiritually find a way to kind of lock away your own light to protect it from being stolen. So in that situation, you have kind of, in that way, I call it it's kind of like a soul retrieval, where we're finding where you've stored a part of your soul in your own body, and we're now going to release it because now you're in a much healthier place, and then your light returns to you. So it doesn't mean that your whole soul's light goes in that box, but just a part of it that's just trying to stay safe. And a lot of children do this as well. If there's abuse growing up, they'll find ways to kind of lock away their soul. And eventually it will pop open. But if you come to see a healer or, a clairvoyant reading, sometimes they will present themselves so that the healer can help you to release those. And so once that happens, your light becomes very bright, and then you don't feel that kind of darkness during that time of your awakening. All right, number 4, an escape portal. So for those who have experienced abuse, again, we're not talking about light abuse. Like this type of portal does not happen for somebody calling you a name. It's going to be more extensive than that. Then what I can see in the energy field, if I can't find your spirit, I'll go looking for it. I can feel it's around somewhere, and then I'll find a tunnel. It's usually off of the spiritual chakra. I'll find a tunnel, and then there'll be like a little cave or womb-like place, and I will see a bright light in there, and that's where I will see part of your soul has gone there in a kind of a disassociative pattern, but that's your safe place. So as a healer, Spirit has always guided me. It's like, I can't just close that off. We can't just close off that portal so you stay in your body. You need to go through a process of healing what caused you to want to leave your body in the first place. So that's going to require going to talk to a therapist, or I would say an energy worker, but usually your body's going to need talk therapy. The energy worker can help move the energy as well. But sometimes I've worked with clients for 3 years before they literally felt that tunnel, that it was going to be okay now to go ahead and close that down. So sometimes when you kind of go into that little tunnel and you're just feeling a lot of darkness, and you think, wow, well, this world awakening is happening for everybody else, but it's not happening for me. Well, it's just, you're kind of going into that escape route because that old abuse is getting turned up, and dissolving. But it can feel really triggering, or you can have an experience in life that can feel triggering and cause you to kind of disassociate into that portal. Now, number 5 is leaving your body. And this I think should be number 2, because that ring around the outside I see is very common, but many people in the world live much more out of their body than they live in their body. And I will tell you, as a nurse, I was quite surprised sometimes where I could see someone's spirit is 100 to 200 feet above their body, but they could still drive a car and go to the grocery store and get all the chores done in their home, and they can engage in high-powered situations at work. So there's a lot that your physical body can do with just a little bit of your spirit in your body. But imagine what you could do if you had a lot more of your soul's light in your body. So why do we disassociate? Well, again, it can be fear, it can be anxiety, it can be depression, it can be in a situation that you just don't want to feel what you're feeling, and so you'll just kind of float above. I would say everybody does this a little bit. I think on the scale of 100% disassociated, where you're never really present in your body, to 1 to 2% disassociated, I think we're all in that range somewhere, just according to me, who has observed a lot of energy fields. So regardless of if you fit in any of those categories and you feel like your awakening is a little bit more on the dark side than you would like it to be, I'm going to tell you the number one thing that we always work with our students instantly is getting those connections first. Because this is what Spirit says. And I'm going to read this to you in just a minute that I wrote this down. But we're not going to be able to move much further. It doesn't matter whether, it doesn't matter what you're doing in life. It's almost like we're at this line now where for you to really go further in not just surviving, but thriving and enjoying life, you're going to need those connections with the earth and the connections with the cosmos. All right, so this is what Spirit came through and gave information to me, and I wrote it down on my little cell phone. We are experiencing the dark clouds of thoughts that are swirling around our head, making it difficult for us to think straight, have a string of thoughts, and difficulty in making decisions. The Creator says that we've come to a point in our evolution where we cannot go any further without the guidance of our own spirit, our own soul, the guidance of angels, ascended masters, the guidance of uplifting star beings, and the upliftment of our connections with Mother Earth, our conversations with each other, animals, plants, minerals, mountains, and seas. We can no longer move much more forward in our life without those higher level spiritual connections. So that's where we are. And if you are noticing that your awakening is a little bit dark, just know that you are in, you're not alone in that process. And it doesn't matter how long somebody's been doing this work, they're going to find those really dark clouds swirling around as well, because again, as the frequency goes up, what has been hidden is being revealed. As the diamond light is coming, it's just cutting through that thick darkness to help your light come to the surface again. The silver energy that's coming through, that high level of divine wisdom, is coming through to expand your own wise light. So yeah, just like in a clear spring of crystal clear water, if you stuck your hand in there and you shook it around, it's going to get muddy, it's going to get mucky. But this does not mean that there's anything wrong with you. It doesn't mean that you're broken. It doesn't mean you're not fixable. It doesn't mean that you don't have meaning in life. So again, highly recommend that if you find yourself being familiar with any of those 5 areas that I talked about, then make that decision. Maybe you want to find a therapist, an energy worker, but you definitely want to go right to my website, and I highly recommend that you start with the grounding meditation. So I will include the link to the website here, and you just go there and look up under products, and it'll have free meditations. There's quite a few there. So I really wanted to make this video because I know there's a lot of you out there who just aren't feeling very light right now. And I hope that you find that this has meaning. And the last thing that I just want to say is, for those of you who have had the dark nights of the soul, please, and you made it on the other side, please make comments here. For those of you who've struggled and felt like your life had no meaning and now you have found meaning, please post in the comment section here. If you found things that really helped you get to the other side of your own dark night of the soul, post that here, because we are stronger together than we are apart. I have my experiences, you have your experiences, and I know as people are reading this, they're going to go right to the comments section and they're going to want to know, can I find somebody who's going through what I'm going through that I can relate to, so that I know that I can have my own hope sparked again. All right, everyone. Thanks again for being in the river of life with me. And I look forward to us all healing together. All right, take care, everyone. See you on the next call. Bye-bye.